Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 46 of the video series in which we program an entire video game from scratch, from beginning to end, in the C programming language. Before we begin, as usual, we will address some of the comments that I got on the previous video. First commenter says, "This channel is the reason I am coding on Windows, Unicode." Okay, so I don't really understand the comment, mainly because every modern operating system these days supports Unicode, not just Windows. So like Windows doesn't have any sort of exclusivity when it comes to Unicode, not in the least. However, um, you know Windows does natively it is natively a Unicode operating system. Um, let's just go ahead and I'll go ahead and make a thing out of this. I've mentioned this several times, but it's really important, so I'm going to bring it up again and turn this into a whole thing. So, as I've mentioned before, the best practice when you are making a new Windows project is that you should compile in Unicode by default. That's best practice. Unicode is best practice. That being said, I chose to start this. I purposely chose to start this project as not Unicode, just old-fashioned ASCII characters, and not Unicode. I did that because I wanted to make it extra user-friendly, and I wanted to not confuse anybody, not potentially confuse any beginners with the differences between an ASCII string versus a Unicode string. That being said, I want you to make sure, I really want to make sure and drive the point home, though, that this is a do as I say, not as I do type situation. Because if you are starting a new project, a new Windows project, you should use Unicode. So right here in the property pages of your project in Visual Studio, you can set it right here, where at Unicode or multi-byte character set. I don't remember exactly why they call it multi-byte character set, but it essentially stands for ASCII, where you only have a maximum of 255 characters, as opposed to Unicode, where you have literally thousands and thousands of characters. Um, you need Unicode in order to support any sort of like non-Roman character, anything with like umlauts, and anything with like grave marks and accent marks, and definitely any sort of like Japanese kanji or Korean or Chinese characters or Arabic characters, anything like that. You need Unicode for. Um, Otherwise, all you have access to are basic American English symbols and numbers and exclamation point and basic punctuation like that, and then like maybe some, and the extended ASCII characters, um, which look like. See if I can look it up. You know, these guys down here, extended ASCII. It's basically everything after 127, which is just still extremely basic compared to actual Unicode support, which gives you many thousands of characters to choose from. Anyway, um, not only can you choose between Unicode and multi-byte here on the property pages, you can also define it in your source code file if you would like. And I think it's something like, if not, let's just say, let's do define Unicode first. Now, that is going to mess up a whole bunch of stuff, I think. I want to rebuild it. Yeah, see, this is the one I wanted to see, the error that I wanted to see, where it says macro redefinition. I think think that's what I wanted to see. Thing is I don't remember if it had an underscore or not. Yeah, Unicode redefinition. Anyway, so what you could do like if not defined Unicode, then define Unicode, something like that. So since this is grayed out, this lets us know that Unicode is defined. So like for instance, if I go back to the property pages and set this back to MBCS, then all of a sudden the pound define Unicode thing lights up, and any other code that we had in here would also light up. So that's how you can control it that way. You know, I'm just telling you that there are multiple ways to control it. So in Windows, Microsoft has this old concept of you know, you have a char, a character, and it'll be something like that, right? And then you also have a wchar _t, which is a wide character, which will be something like that. And this is actually incorrect. I'm pretty sure even for a single character, you need to put this little L next to it to tell the compiler that, hey, this is a wchar. This is 2 bytes wide as opposed to 1 byte wide. So yeah, see, if I take this L prefix away and hover over it, it just goes back to being a basic integer 98 thing. But if I put the L there, it tells the compiler, hey, you're dealing with a wide character here. This works the same way for strings. If you want to do a string, you know, do it like that. If you want to do a wide string where every character is 2 bytes wide, do it the same way, only you put a little L in front of it. Now, Microsoft a long time ago realized that they didn't this sort of coexistence. This sort of coexistence was annoying to developers, and so they devised a way to where you could basically write all your code in one style and basically have it easily portable between ASCII and Unicode. So so the data type, let's just say the data type that they came up with was a tchar. And I don't know why it's called a tchar, but it's called a tchar. And we're going to call this tchar there. If you hover over tchar, it's a type def, and its type def is just a regular char. Okay? But then if you go back to your property pages and you set this back to Unicode, now hover over tchar, you will see that now tchar is type def as a wchar, which a wchar is the same thing as a wchar _t. Same thing. 16-bit Unicode character. That's all it is. So there's another thing to go along with this. If I wanted to flip back and forth between Unicode and ASCII or MBCS, I have this problem where it's like, you know, how do I tell it to add an L or not add an L there? Like, how can I make this so that I can compile my project for once for ASCII and then again for Unicode without having to change any of my code? And the answer is they also make this little text macro. And if I hover over this text macro, you will see that it expands to A with a little L in front of it. And then if I go back to properties and I set the project back to MBCS, and then I hover over the text macro, you'll see that it expands to just A, with basically just like it is in its current form. So now I can pass this text to a function, a Windows API function like, I don't know, create window. And as you we've covered all this stuff before, but you'll remember that all the Windows API functions have two entry points. They have an A and a W version, a narrow version and a wide version, or ASCII version and Unicode version. Then they have this pound define that changes depending on, just like how the tchar changes, it changes depending on whether you're compiling Unicode or ASCII. So that's all well and good, but in today's day and age, I would say there's really, like, don't do any of that. I would say don't use the text macro, and don't use the little pound defines that um, you know go one way or the other depending on whether you're compiling Unicode or compiling ASCII. Just pick one standard and go with it. That's my recommendation. Which is exactly what I've done here. Is instead of using MessageBox, I explicitly and very purposely use MessageBox A instead. And I just think that's the better way to do it. Of course, even better would be to go back and convert all this to Unicode. But as I said, we don't really have a reason. We don't really have a compelling reason to convert this project to Unicode at this particular time. Now, if I think of a compelling reason later on, I can convert it to Unicode pretty easily, but not going to do it today. So I think that's it. I think that is basically all I had to say about that. So let's move on to the next comment. So the next commenter says, randomly found your post on Reddit, will follow your channel. I too really want to make a game from scratch, but also utilizing some high quality free open source libraries to push my game development forward, like int, which is used in Minecraft, or physics, which is used in Unreal/Unity and other libs. Is your tutorial also suitable for Linux? Currently, I do not own a Windows machine. So a couple things. That is one of the drawbacks of choosing to do your project in C, is that there aren't a whole lot of, or I should say, there aren't as many libraries that are really written specifically for C. I mean, there are plenty that are compatible with C, and that's well and good, but there aren't really many libraries out there that are for video games, and those libraries are like, C forward, C first. Most of them are just like, maybe, just like I remember showing you the X Audio stuff in a previous episode, where even the audio library that I wanted to use for this project used to have problems with the C programming language. And the reason why is because most of the software industry, especially most of the video game development industry, assumes that you are using C++. Who would want to use just regular C? So they sort of assume that you're willing to use a C++ library. And so, people who want to use just specifically regular C are often left high and dry when it comes to having like a rich selection of libraries. That being said, there are some. I think I think SDL probably being the most popular. Simple Direct Media Layer is a cross-platform software development library designed to provide a hardware abstraction layer. All right, so a lot of people use SDL in their video games, so that is a library that you can look into. It's cross-platform. It's C. OpenGL is another one. I think everyone probably knows about OpenGL. It's pretty much the only viable, or the only real alternative to Windows DirectX that I know of. So it's either like if you write a game, it's going to be especially if it's 3D. If it's that's the only this is the only 3D graphics API I think that is really taken seriously when it comes to video game development. OpenGL, cross-platform. So if you're interested in making games for Linux, and especially if you're interested in making 3D games, OpenGL is right up your alley. In terms of like old school libraries, I remember. Okay, so this is kind of funny. This is a very very old library, but it is a library and it is suitable for writing video games. I remember using this like way back in high school. Extremely old stuff, but it's a library and it works. Um, I remember I wrote a game with this a long time ago, and it was like a spaceship and you shoot asteroids, that used DJGPP. Um, I remember someone said something about it on one of my videos not too long ago, and I think it's still being worked on. So even though it's very old, I think there's still, I mean, 2015, that's only 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway, I'm not, obviously, the whole point of this YouTube channel is that we're not really using any libraries that help us develop this video game. We're not really using any graphics libraries like that. We're doing all the graphics ourselves. So I won't go any further into that. The other thing is, on my channel, the most vocal people have been, um, hey, Linux, Linux, Linux. What about Linux? What about Linux? And I said this before, but I'll say it again. And the reason, and I have nothing against Linux at all. I think that it is a great operating system, and there are definitely some things that Linux does even better than Windows. However, having a video game playing audience is not one of those things. If I go to the Steam hardware survey and I look at all of the people who play games on their PC, and I go and I look at, I sort by OS version. I go all the way down here to, well, Windows 10 64-bit. So, of the people who play video games on the PC, and Steam has millions of people on it, so it's a pretty good sample size. It has pretty wide coverage. It's got indie games on there as well as AAA games. So, I feel like Steam is a pretty good measurement of people who are playing video games on the PC. So, of people who play PC games, video games on the PC, 88.32% of them do so on Windows 10. An extra 5% are still on Windows 7. If I go down here to Linux, now there, if I look at all Linux, it looks like 0.89% of video game players are using Linux. I may be sorting something incorrectly here, and then and then of course Mac OS is basically in the same boat. So my point is like I said, Linux is very good at doing a lot of things, but not very many people are playing video games on Linux, and those who do are usually using like like the Wine emulator and stuff like that just to emulate Windows. So it's like if you're going to emulate Windows, why not just use Windows? Um, I don't know. So I just feel like if you're going to make a video game that's going to be played by as many people as possible, you make it for Windows. I would eventually like to go and port this game, not port necessarily, but maybe make an OS abstraction layer that will allow us to run this on Windows and Linux at the same time. especially considering Windows now, they have the subsystem for Linux that they're trying to make Linux development easier and easier and better and more accessible. Um, and it's probably high time that I just go and figure out how to start making um, you know GUI applications for Linux and in addition to Windows. But that really, it's not, in my opinion, based on the numbers that we just saw, it's not like a necessary thing. It's like it's icing on the cake if you want like that extra 1 or 2% of players. If you want to attract those other 2% of players who might actually play your game on Linux. Um, but for the most part, that's that's why I'm using Windows. Um, okay, that does it for the comments, and I feel like that took us like 20 minutes. So I do want to get a little bit of programming done today, and there's a couple things that I want to do that are top of mind. One of them is to build this game. The build process was a lot faster whenever I had everything in one big main.c file. But since breaking it out, I think it's probably the well, both the compiler and the linker both have more work to do now that I have a bunch of different C files or compilation units. Um, but anyway, first thing I want to fix is with this portal. I don't like this portal behavior. This right here, look at what I'm doing. Now, if I don't give you a seizure, I would like for you to notice that if I just hold the left walk button down, then he just like infinitely walks back into the portal over and over and over again, and I don't like the way that behaves. So what I propose is what we create in main.h. If we go back to the hero, there we go. I want to create something new, and I'm going to create something like, hold on, do we increment this? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. I just want to have a steps taken counter, because I think that would be a cool miscellaneous statistic to have. It's like, how many steps has our player taken throughout the entire lifetime of this game? And it'll be something that we save, like in the save file, whenever we get to a position where we can save our game. Anyway, but what I wanted to do this time is I wanted to create a new piece of data called, it'll be a Boolean, and it will be called has player moved since portal. Has player moved since portal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to overworld.c, and I'm going to figure out where do I call this portal handler thing. Here it is. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff in case 0, because this is the, remember in the where I switch gplayer.movement remaining. When I get to movement remaining equals 0, that's the interesting situation where I have completed my movement and I have stopped on another whole tile. And like right here, I make an assertion that where I have stopped is a multiple of 16, because if I stop halfway between one tile and another, that's a big problem, and that's something that should never happen. And then if I'm standing on a portal, then I run my portal handler. But I only want to run my portal handler if gplayer moved since portal equals true, right? When I run my portal handler, the first thing I'm going to do is set that back to false. As player moves, since portal is now false again. So the question is, if this is when my player stops, case 0, then this is when my player starts moving at case 16. So I'll do g player dot has player move since portal equals true. Okay, and now there's one other thing I want to do. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I need to get rid of these magic constants here and define symbols for them. And the question is, where am I going to do that? Should I do it here in overworld? Yeah, I'll do it in overworld.h. It's not we don't have very much stuff in overworld.h, so why not? So we'll do pound define. You know what? And I like doing my pound defines up here at the beginning, above the variables. Pound define portal 01 dash. Let me think about this. Maybe it should be a point data structure. Because it's going to be an x and a y coordinate, right? So maybe I do point g portal 1 location Oh, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that either. I'm pretty sure I can't assign a value to it here. Let's try rebuild, see if it compiles. Yeah, there it is. gportal01 location already defined in main.obj. So yeah, the linker does not know how to deal with that situation. I can't assign a value to it. All right, so instead I'll have to go back here to main.c, and I'll have to go to, okay, Initialize Globals. That was something else I wanted to do, is I think I want to rename this function, but actually I don't care right now. G portal 01 location.x equals, or since if I want to be consistent, I can do the C99 syntax again. Okay, now I don't remember what the actual 272. Okay, so the portal 1 is at 272.80. $272.80. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just make that a little bigger. Okay, portal 002 location. Okay, and then this is 3920 by 3920 and 32. 3920 y32. Okay. Okay. So now we go back to overworld.c and we begin to replace these magic constants. Pose.x equals g portal 001.x and player world pose y equals g portal 001 location.y. And in fact, I think this can be simplified because I think you can just compare data structures directly, I think. No? Yes? No? Does that work? Oh, it's a U point. Okay, that's an issue. Let's do the same. U point, which is simply a U point, as you might remember, is the data structure that I created. It's just like a point, only my X and Y use unsigned integers instead of signed integers. All right, so now that we've done that, does this compile? Is the question. No, it doesn't. That's a U point. That's a U point. I mean, I could do a mem compare, I'm sure. But the problem with doing a mem compare is it makes my intention a little less clear. Like, it makes it less clear as to what I'm trying to do. So that makes my code a little less readable, I think. But I mean, I could do a mem compare on the same, just like I do a string compare. It's the same thing, right? It's just they're just comparing two pieces of memory and seeing if they're the same. That being said, I guess I'll go ahead and do it this way. Although I wish I didn't have to. Okay, but I do think, and let me go ahead and put some parentheses here for clarity. Now, if that is the case, then I simply want to do world position equals to location. There we go. Okay, so that solves for world position and nothing else. I still want to manipulate screen position and camera. And to do all that, now I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I should create a whole new data structure to contain all of these pieces of information bundled together. What will I make it? Overworld.h. What if I make something like typedef struct portal coordinates? I'm just trying to decide if I like that name or not. And inside this portal coordinates data structure, I will put a U point for world position, world position. Should I do world position or world pose and keep it consistent with what I already have in the hero data structure? That is the question. All right, but then we also have a 2-point screen pose. No, that doesn't make any sense either. The whole idea, we don't need a separate screen position now, because we intend to put the player right on the portal. No? Is that right? Okay, where in the world is this portal located in world coordinates? Where? Okay. Where is the portal located in? No. I'm struggling here. I don't know how to deal with this. Where should the player be located in screen coordinates? Where should the camera be located in world coordinates? And this will be a... What is the camera? Is the camera also a U point? Main.h. Let's look for G camera. Yep, it is a U point. All right, let's go back to here. Where should the camera be located in world coordinates? Okay, so is there anything else in here? In fact, I could, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I could actually not, instead of making a special case for every portal, how about I just iterate through the entire array of portals that I have, and if the player is standing on any one of them, then I take appropriate action based on which portal I'm standing on. That is what I'm talking about. All right. Which area does the portal take you to? And maybe instead of calling this portal coordinates, I just call it portal. Make it shorter. Okay, so I have portal 1, portal 2, and then I make an array of portals called gportals. And yes, I know this is going to be an error if I do it here. Portal. These things are now no longer viewpoints, they're now portals. Portal data structures. Oh, there's a semicolon here. Okay, alright, back to main.c, back to Initialize Globals. Let's go back here. Change these things yet again, because they are no longer viewpoints. Now we have, oh wait, where are they? What was I doing? Portal, and this now can be changed. This can be changed. That looks fine. Okay, now we're going to make G portal 1 equals all this stuff. Area equals. Okay, so G portal 01 this is where the portal should take you to, and so portal 1 resides in the overworld, but it should take you to the dungeon, the little room off to the side that we created. So there we go. Camera pose equals. Now this is interesting. Can I initialize this? A struct inside of a struct? Will it work? I don't know, honestly, but let's try. Okay. World pose, world pose, world pose. C. Let's do world pose first. And the x272 dot y equals 80. Nice. And we're making a screen position. Dot x equals something. Dot y equals something. Okay, now we just need to figure out what those somethings are. Okay, screen position is 80 and 32. $80, $32. Camera is 38, 56, and 0. $38, 38, 56, and 0. No, it doesn't look good, does it? No, it looks okay. Okay. So is that fully defined portal 1? It takes you to dungeon area. It has a camera position. It takes you to camera position 38, 56, and 0. It takes you to screen position 80 and 32. It takes you to world position 272 and 80. All right. I don't know why I spend time aligning these equal signs, but I do. I just find it an aesthetically pleasing exercise. All right, G portal 02 is going to be it's going to take you back to G overworld area. which G overworld area should probably be a member in the G overworld 01 data no, I just don't know. Anyway, that needs to be G overworld area. Okay, camera position takes you back to 0, 0, I'm pretty sure. It resets the camera to 0, 0 because we're going back to the very top left hand. Yeah. Okay, screen position. Oh, wait. Okay, 288 and 80. Okay, 39, 20, and 32. $39, $20, $39, $20, and what? $32, $39, $20, and 32. Screen position 288 and 80. $288 and 80. Okay. And finally, we need to make sure that gportals equals is an array of gportal01, gportal02, and then as we go on, we will continue adding more portals to this thing. Right, we need to come up with the size for this, so it's going to be 2 portals. This is the exact same thing that we ran into last time. Is this array size issue? So we really just need it like that. All right, now back to overworld.c. What we can do now is for counter is less than count of portals, or that array. Okay, if gplayer.worldPose.x equals gportals counter dot worldPose.x and gplayer.worldPose.y was equal to gportals counter dot worldPose.y. Then we know that we are standing on a portal and we need to do something. What is it that we need to do? We need to gplayer.worldPose.x. We need to change it to, oh, wait. Come on now. Okay, tiles, overworld. Where is this portal located? Where should the player be located in screen coordinates? Okay, we're missing something here. Where should portal take the player in world coordinates? U point world destination. Oh, that messes up all my equal signs. Bummer. Okay, so the destination the destination will be portal 2 world position, right? So let's hard code this, just make it 3920 and 32. Okay, let's put a space here. Get all this stuff nice and spaced out for cleanliness. Now if we do I think maybe it would be better if we did, instead of just doing area, we do destination area. I'll make it more clear. Destination area, because this takes us to dungeon 1. Destination equals overworld. Okay, that's good. That's good. Let's get rid of these spaces that I just wasted my time with. Okay, the world destination will be viewpoint gportal01.worldpose.x, and the y will be gportal1 worldpose.y. Okay. Okay, back to overworld.c. Let's go back to my portal handler. Okay. If we are standing on a portal, then we go and do this thing. Worldpose.x equals g portal counter dot g portal g portals counter dot world destination dot x g player dot world position y equals g portals counter dot world destination dot y. Okay, g player dot screen pose dot x equals g portals counter dot screen pose dot x, g player dot screen pose dot x equals g portals counter screen pose dot y. And we need to do the camera g camera dot x equals g portals counter dot camera pose dot x, g camera dot y equals g portals counter dot camera pose dot y. And then I break, and then I need to load the area. I need to change the area. G current area equals g portals counter dot destination area. Break. And now I don't need any of this stuff. I don't need any of this stuff, and I don't have to create a special case for all 1,000 portals that I'm going to have in this game, right? Every doorway. I don't have to create an if statement, an if condition, an else if. I don't have to create an else if, else if, else if, else if, else if for every single portal out of the 1,000 portals that I'm going to have in this game. So let me delete all this. And what I'm going to do is portal handler bool portal found equals false. And then if we go through all this stuff, we're going to set portal found equals true. And then here we're going to say if portal found still equals false, then we shall assert false crash. Player is standing on a portal, but we do not have a portal handler for it. Now, does it compile? Syntax error. Okay, so did I get all of my coordinates? If I got all my coordinates correct, then this is going to work beautifully, I think. If I did not get all my coordinates correct, and it is not going to work beautifully. We will just have to see. Okay, did not work beautifully. All right, 270, 280. See, I didn't get my coordinates correct. All right, 270, 280. Portal 1, 270, 280. Yeah, that's correct. X and Y, 270, 280. So what did I do wrong? Overworld.c. Okay. If player world pose x equals portals world pose x and player y equals. Okay, so is that condition not being met? Let's debug it and find out. So the portal handler should be hit as soon as we touch that portal. And it's not. Why isn't it? Oh. Okay. Hang on. Wait, if it's true. Okay, but it's set to true right here. Alright, alright. Huh. So are you telling me... Okay, stop. Okay. Well, that comes as quite a surprise to me. Apparently, this case where we have 16 movement remaining never gets hit. Why do we never have 16 movement remaining? Is a very good question. Is it because see, I assign it movement remaining 16 right there. That's why. It looks like I decrement movement remaining before I ever get to this case label right here. So when I get here, my player has 15 movement remaining. Question is, do I want to debug two things at once? And yeah, I guess so. So, shall I try to move this out here? and move that right there. Let's see if it. I may have just broken everything, but we'll find out. Yeah, we did. I mean, walking still looks okay, but he doesn't end on the right animation. But it's okay. We'll figure it out. I mean, movement is still working correctly. $270-280. Why can I still not trigger that portal? This time, now I'm hitting case 16, but I'm not hitting case 0. And the reason why I'm not hitting case 0 is because I don't ever run that switch case statement, because movement remaining is 0 by the time I get back here, right? Something to that effect. Okay, so effectively, here's what I think has gone wrong. I need to first undo that, because at least things were working better before I moved that at all. So draw debug info. Nintendo handles memories, CPU frames, XY, XY, XY. I'm going to add something to the debug spew here. Movement. Movement remaining. It's 80, 88, 96. This is simply a counter that should go from 16 to 0. There we go. That's fine. I just essentially wanted to make sure that there wasn't a flaw in my code that was leaving movement at 1 every time I stopped moving, or something to that effect. Unsigned char. Unsigned. DU. Is that right? But what I don't understand, oh, never mind. I do understand. Okay, what we need to do is, okay. I don't know. This is kind of a cheesy fix, but if I do movement remaining will be at most 15 here, we can never hit 16. Movement remaining should be at most 15 here. And then we'll do case 15. We will leave that there. Put this in case 15. And since this was never running, I guess it's not that important. I'll leave it there for now. See what it looks like. Okay, movement looks fine. Okay, great. That almost works. That almost works, but not quite. $39.04.32. Okay, $39.04.32. Okay, we're still messed up here. Yeah, that's not right. 39, 20, and 32. All right, I'm going to change that to screen destination. Screen destination will be okay. Now it's working. Now it is working, and it's working really well. Everything's working great. I like it. So now our portal behavior is much more, well, I like it a lot more than the way it used to be. Now when you walk to a portal, it will send you right on top of the destination portal, and then it will just sit you there until you move. Once you move, you can then again step back on the portal. I think that's how everyone else expects them to work. So, And the other thing is, even though this looked like, I mean, this looked difficult, but what it saved us from doing is the real upshot of all this was that now we can just put all of this code into a loop, and it will now work for every portal that we ever create now and in the future, instead of having to create a special case for each portal. Okay, and with that being said, I know we are way over time, so I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. As usual, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you like this sort of video game development from scratch type stuff. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave any questions or comments on the video, and I will address any interesting questions or comments in an upcoming episode. Lastly, do not forget that we have a GitHub repository to go along with this material. I keep it updated. I keep the repository updated in step with these episodes so that you can clone the repository and follow along at home. That is it, guys. Thank you very much once again for watching, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye.